Hello. Autistic people are more likely to suffer from gastrointestinal GI ailments than the general population. Here's another quote. I have spent most of my life on the edge of a fart. So when I was at sixth form college, when I was 16 until I was 18, I used to have some really bad stomach problems. I just remember being in, they weren't lectures, they were seminars, and I kind of hunched over the table, trying to stop my stomach from rumbling. It was just constant, and it just seemed to happen when I started at sixth form. I don't remember ever having stomach problems at school, and it makes a lot of sense now because I was happy at school. Now, I know a lot of people have had very unhappy school experiences, but I really loved school, and I've mentioned it in a previous video. I liked the fact that I could focus on special interests, that I was receiving tangible rewards for achievement, that I was praised. There was a timetable, all sorts of autism-friendly features of school for me, but I appreciate that's not universal, obviously. Started at sixth form college, and the structure of the day was much looser. I had more independence over what I did, whether I actually went to classes or not. And for some people, they thrive on that sort of semi-independent structure, and they thrive on that sort of creeping towards adulthood and being able to do their own thing. I clearly wasn't ready for that responsibility. I needed that structure imposed on me, which is a weird thing to say because I'm a really mardy person, grumpy person these days. I like to do things my way. But when I was much younger, I did prefer greater instruction. So anyway, at sixth form college, I was expected to take more ownership over my studies. And I guess, because the age I was and, physical changes and my mum and stepdad splitting up and home life was uncertain, all sorts of factors made me much more anxious than I was when I was at school. And that's the most important point I'm probably going to make in this video, is that gastrointestinal problems for me as an autistic person relate to me being anxious as an autistic person in a world not designed for me. So yeah, at sixth form college, I really noticed that stomach problems were an issue, and I always wondered why. Why am I hunched over this table? Why can't I just be like everyone else and just be placid and attentive and focus on my studies instead of what's going on inside, literally inside my stomach? And council meetings. So for 13 years, I've been going to council meetings, and I always used to wonder why, when I got into the town hall, the guild hall, why my stomach felt so bloated. Why at that moment? And it took me years to figure out that it was related to anxiety. I don't know why I didn't figure it out sooner. So I'm leaving my house, going into a busy environment, and stomach problems, what's going on there? I wonder. Only, in recent months and the last year or so, doing these videos, reading about autism all the time, thinking about autism all the time, I've associated or learned to associate my stomach issues with anxiety. So when I was at sixth form, there's a lot of things going on at home, late teens, which is an anxious period for most people, I would have thought. The change in structure, all of that made me anxious. Going to council meetings where it's, by design, there's conflicts, politics, you're trying to resolve disagreements. There's a lot of egos. There's all sorts of factors to bear in mind. And as soon as I walk into that venue, I'm like, okay, right, be on your guard. And you need to be a certain persona. You have to be a counselor. And, me being autistic and wanting to be authentic all the time and just say what I'm thinking, fight the good fight, I still have to bear in mind that there are certain conventions. Otherwise, if I just do my own thing, then I end up saying or doing something that will bring shame on me and embarrass people who are counting on me to act in their interests. So all sorts of things swirling around my mind and clearly swirling around my stomach. And it's not pleasant. And I associate now my stomach issues with being autistic and, being very anxious in a world that is not designed for me. So stomach issues for autistic people are, as I've already said, linked to anxiety. Well, they certainly are for me, and stress, and linked to sensory sensitivities regarding diet. And that explains a lot to me because, when I was a child in particular, I used to eat the same foods. I used to endlessly eat sausage rolls at school. Although, like I said, I didn't really have stomach issues at school. I did eat the same things again and again. I didn't have a very varied diet. And I wonder whether, that didn't help when I went into sixth form college and beyond, eating the same things because I was averse to foods with certain textures, that can't have helped my stomach very much. So I do understand that it's not only anxiety and stress that can lead to stomach issues for an autistic person, but sensory sensitivities, being averse to certain textures, for example, as was the case with me, can be a factor in stomach issues. And there are other factors as well that will lead to gastrointestinal problems for autistic people. But I just wanted to focus on not only stress and anxiety, but also sensory sensitivities regarding certain foods. So while doing some research for this video, I found this video on YouTube: which supplements are best for autism. Now I'll come back to supplements, but first of all I want to mention another video made by the person who made that video about supplements called What is Autism? In this video we're told we've got a real problem, a real increase in autism on our hands here. We're told that autism is a disorder and that there are symptoms of autism. We're told that autism treatment involves some trial and error. Indeed, there's a huge error in assuming that autism should be treated. The creator of the video refers to her daughter as having a social deficiency because she was looking at a ceiling fan and lights in the distance instead of focusing on faces. Is it any wonder when her own mother misunderstands autism so much? I often feel that I would receive more acceptance and empathy from a ceiling fan. So, back to supplements. A supplement is a thing added to something else in order to complete or enhance it. Here are some supplements that would enhance my life: clarity, acceptance, peace. They would certainly reduce anxiety and stomach problems. Finally, infodump alert. Ernest Dowson was an English poet, novelist, and short story writer. He was born in 1867 and died aged just 32. This appears to be the only photo of him. Coincidentally, Dowson has exactly the same facial expression as the one I had when I watched those two videos I've just mentioned. The line "Gone with the Wind" comes from his poem Non sum qualis eram bonae sub regino cinera. Thank you for listening and take care.